Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello. Here you go. Smash the like. I'm waiting for the notice to pop.
Yes. I actually turned on my notification today.
There we are. Here you go. Smash the
Hello.
like, people.
Welcome. Welcome. Come in, beautiful beings. Hello. It's lovely to have you. It's lovely to see Gerald. Hello, Gerald.
Thank you for inviting me back. I appreciate it. I hope I have not overstayed my welcome by
No,
going.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome here anytime you'd like to come, and hopefully you'll come whenever I ask too.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing. What she's saying is I have so much fun when we've done the readings together. I'm like going, ooh, what are we going to do next? Let's
I
do it
know.
again.
It is
But
fun, isn't it?
it is. And great people in chat and people who are watching. So it's like, boom.
Speaking of people in chat,
People in chat.
Tangi was here first, Roman Biscotti. Hi, Tangi. I know you're work lurking. You're doing
Yes.
stuff. Gerald is here, TarotStache.
Woohoo, TarotStache.
Hello, Susan. It's lovely to see you. Richie's here.
Richie. I was just chatting with him and I told him our topic and he asked 2 really thought-provoking questions as Richie does. So
excellent.
I'm like,
and Beth is, I guess I could highlight some. Here we go. I will do that because I am just all kinds of.
Stop. You're learning, and the learning is a wonderful thing.
Okay.
So
let's get Tangi. Hi, Tangi. I know you're just listening, and we're saying hello again, dear.
Yeah.
And then I did see you. And Susan.
Susan, yes.
Hello, Susan.
It's good to see you too. Richie, hello.
Gertrude is here. Hello.
Hi, Gertrude.
Gertrude's starting a new series on her channel. Please go by and check it out.
Really? Okay, yeah. I'll have to look at that. I'm making a note.
Andrea's here. Hello, Andrea. Let's see. If I can get it. There we go. Beth is here. Espacio Rising.
Hey, Beth.
And Sherry H. Voices from the Swamp. Hello, Sherry.
Am I allowed to shamelessly plug?
Sure. Go right ahead.
Sherry H. is having a special guest on Saturday, and I have been invited to be a third wheel. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's at 6:30.
I hope you're planning to squeak.
Oh, girl.
The squeaky wheel.
Squeaky wheel. I will do that for you. I will actually get my little squeaky toy, and I'll do that. So, but okay. And she's work lurking.
Yes, she is. Angela Cardamancy Mesquite is here.
Hi, Angela.
And let's see, Thayer is here.
Thayer.
We love Thayer over here.
Yes.
Let's see, I think that may be everyone that I see in chat at the moment. If I missed you, pop in now and tell me, and we will say hello to you.
And we welcome all people who are work lurking, nap lurking, cooking lurking. Are there other lurkings?
Whatever form of lurking you are doing, we welcome that.
We support you. Janet P. showed up.
Hello, Janet. P. And so today I did promise you a surprise topic. And Gerald, would you like to tell everyone what the topic is?
No, I think you should.
Okay,
because it was your brilliant idea.
Well, I don't know how brilliant it is.
All right, stop. Okay, here, wait.
All right,
I stopped. Everybody, Watch while I put her in apology timeout. Girl, no more apologizing.
No more apologizing. I
Yes.
will own it. I will step into it and own it.
Own
You
it.
have to be
Ooh,
careful what you step into.
that's true.
That is-
Especially if you step into the topic we're discussing.
yes. So the topic today is the veil. That is the separation between our physical world and
Mhm.
the spirit world, the spirit realm, that
Mhm.
plane, whatever term that you use to call those around us that we can't see.
Mhm.
So the
Yes.
veil between us and them. And
Mhm.
is it a real thing? Does it really exist? Or is it thinning? There are lots of things the questions that I have.
And do you have those questions written down so we can
I
engage
do
all of
not.
them? All right. That is perfect. So, well, and one thing that I will talk about is the veil, the place between the worlds, or the energy shift happens twice a year. And most of the time, people think about it at Samhain or Halloween or October 31st. And Richie and I have talked about that on our long stash conversations.
Yes.
And there is and this is the time of the year when the veil is thin, when we look back at our ancestors and we remember those who have passed, who, and I always like to think about it in the sense of these are the people who have supported us, and we stand upon their successes and their failures. So um, that's something that I think about. But when we're thinking about the wheel of the year, um, opposite of Halloween, I wish I had my different backdrop up there. Am I talking too much?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. Okay. So, and this is something interesting for me, is when I first learned that, oh, hello, Teresa. Good to see you. Um,
I just
and
wanted to acknowledge our world-class hugger.
yes. And I remember, gosh, this must have been about 10 years ago when I was taking classes and I was learning about the wheel of the year and timing and all of that. And somebody kept saying, the instructor, she kept saying, the veil is thin at Samhain or
Yes.
Halloween. And there's a correlation because we do all of these lovely things to remember our ancestors. There's Halloween, and then there's All Saints Day, All Souls Day. There's the Day of the Dead.
Yes.
Um, but then I was also looking, and I'm like, because the wheel always is balanced, because nature does that.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at, but does that also mean that the wheel is the veil is thin at Beltane? And she's like going, yes. And that's the time when we look to the future.
Of course.
So thank you for letting me ramble.
No, no, not at all. I also feel and this is a feeling, even though I've read it and seen it and all of that everywhere, people write about it. I feel like the veil itself is thinning, that as we move into a higher vibrational way of being and we come to be more aware of our fellow beings and try to raise them up with us,
Mm-hmm.
that veil becomes thinner because we grow to a higher standing nearer where those on the other side are.
Mm-hmm.
Did that make
Yes,
sense?
it did. It did. And I think Beltane. Yeah,
Oops.
that's good.
I'm
And
trying
Deanne
to
is
catch.
here.
It keeps jumping. There we go. Hi, Deanne.
Good to see you. And I like what Beth said. You highlighted it. Beltane, the veil involving creation. Samhain, the veil involving death. I
Exactly.
love that.
That's
I
it in
love
a
that.
nutshell.
Yes. And I think each of those they have it's like, oh, hi Mara. It's like what we were talking about before is, and I talk about it with Tarot the Stash Way. There are all of the elements are involved in everything. It's just the aspect of that element.
Yes.
So that veil in Beltane is about creation
Yes.
and Samhain is about death. I think that's very, very interesting.
And
Sums it up.
transformation. Too,
Yeah.
and we were talking a little bit about the Deviant Moon Tarot deck. In that deck, death is represented by a feminine being who's pregnant and trying to prevent her previous offspring from crawling back in. So
Yes.
it's transformational, it's new beginnings,
Hmm.
endings of something. But an ending of anything is the beginning of something new.
Yes. Yes.
So and that works into both Samhain and Beltane.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
balance.
Yeah. It's death and creation. It's
Yeah.
the um and how do we go about that? So I
Yes.
find that really interesting. So I really like this topic, and I was doing some of my research um, because I want to have some accuracy, and I'm an overachiever,
Yes.
and surprise, I'm also an overthinker.
Yes, me too.
So yeah, this is one of the reasons that we get along so well.
I know.
Um, because we were backstage, everybody, we were talking and we were saying, just okay, don't overthink it, just do it.
Right.
But the idea, it's a very esoteric concept, and it's not easy to find a lot of resources about it. Hi, Natalie. Or
It's
not
not.
the way I was searching, but I
I
mean,
Me
yeah,
too. I found a little
yeah.
bit. I found a short article talking about probably the origins of the term the veil
Hmm.
comes out of the spiritualist movement that began in the late 19th and early 20th century,
Yes.
when people were fascinated with seances, and there were some less than truthful people doing those. And they
There were
used
some
visual aids.
scammers.
Yes, they were.
Yes,
They were
yes.
scammers. They used visual aids, and very often that included something that looked like a veil over
Hmm.
either over a person, over a figure, or just blowing in the wind. So the veil
Yes.
came to be a term used and associated with the separation between the physical world and the spirit world.
Yeah. So I just popped in a question in the chat. How do you experience the veil? So I'd love to hear what people in chat have to say. But I'm also wondering if this idea of is this the space between existence is
Yes.
thin. Um, have okay, there we go. Enable sip sip.
Yes, I know. It was a great rivalry between Arthur Conan Doyle and Houdini, because Houdini didn't believe any of it and Doyle believed all of it. So there was this great rivalry between the two. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Debbie's here, Aquarius
Hi,
Owl.
Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Well, so I wonder if when we think about the space between,
Hmm.
I would, I think I have experienced the veil, for lack of a better word. There's that dream state where I'm asleep and I'm awake, but I've also have people, I think when they've had maybe near-death experiences, they will they've had some of the experience with the veil. What do you think?
I think
Hi,
that
Silver.
that's absolutely true. I have not had a near-death experience, but I have been near death, which are two completely different things.
Mm-hmm.
Having spoken with people that have had near-death experiences, their experience is that they have actually been on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
My
Yeah.
experience is that I was in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Richie says, I like the idea that it's possible to see through the veil from both ways. Both worlds influence one another, but only rarely touch. And I think that
Yeah.
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I like that. That's well said, Richie.
yes, it is. Oh,
Hi,
is Duncan
Shireman.
here? Hi,
Duncan.
Duncan.
Yep.
Duncan's here.
Oh, and Gertrude said, I learned about it from 14th century Christian mystics.
Gertrude is a very deep person. So.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
she has a great deal of contact
Mm-hmm.
across the veil. So.
Yeah. Did you see Peter J's comment after that?
Yes, Peter is here. Hello, Peter. The term veil does elicit a nice visual. It absolutely does. Shadowy murmuring, murmur. Say that 3 times fast. Rippling heat like waves in the waking life for me. That liminal space is another wonderful experience. It is, absolutely.
So could we say that the veil is we when we think about liminal, is that the veil?
That's a good question. Is it?
I don't know.
Because we talk about liminal space.
Mm-hmm.
Andrea says, in shamanic terms, it's a label for moving between places, between earth, ordinary planes, and non ordinary reality, upper world, middle world, and lower world. There is
Mm-hmm.
also a place called the void. And Andrea would know about this because she is a shaman.
Yes. Yes. And I wonder, it's like the idea of is I think it was Richie who said they rarely touch each other. They
Yes.
only rarely touch, and they do. I believe that they do. I wonder what people on the other side of the veil think about us or beings on the other side of the veil. What do they think about us when they see us?
I my first instinct is that the vast majority of them have only love for us, and that
Mm-hmm.
they are ready to assist in our lessons.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
And what is your take? What do you think
I
that they
I
think?
speaking as someone from this side of the veil who has limited experience on the other side of the veil that I can recall, I wonder if they experience the same thing as we do, but in their with their frame of reference. If
In their
they are
heightened,
in their heightened awareness, and I think it's interesting. I think it's liminal is a betwixt, between, and between, not necessarily the veil itself. Yes, that makes sense.
that does make sense.
That makes sense. Peter, I am glad you're here. So I I think there's a huge balance. I think many of us experience things of higher vibration or different vibration than we are. We'll say that it's different vibration than we are.
Yes.
And I would also, I'm going to be hashtag don't come for me. Um, here you go. For entertainment purposes only, this is what Gerald thinks. For inspirational and educational purposes. I also think that perhaps there may be some energy that may not be, their goal is not to be as what we would call helpful.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And so I think they both exist. And
I do too.
Personally, what we focus our attention on is what we see. And sometimes in my personal magic work, I pay attention to all types of energy so that I have a rounded view.
Yes,
So,
because I have difficulty with fluffy bunny light workers. Not because I don't think that their reasoning is valid, but I think that they don't have a balanced view of what there might be. Silver says, I think they grow with us as we learn our lessons, and I think that can be true.
I think I like that. I very much like that.
Andrea said, if I can highlight her, I think of the veil in a theatrical way as a scrim, and that's sort of how I do too.
I like that.
It's not a literal veil; it's a representation.
But it is, because when things are projected through to the veil, people on the other side, or it is seen differently on the other side.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
and they don't have the same concerns that we do. Our concerns are
very much
physical, and they don't have those concerns. Gertrude says they see us in our entirety, higher selves, other lifetime, so not limited to the physical self, which helps her. The physical existence keeps her humble. It keeps all of us humble if we understand that this isn't all there is.
Yes. Yeah. I oftentimes I have this flashes of a sense of knowing that is, I understand the past, I can see into the future, and I am experiencing the present all at once.
Yes.
And I would imagine that, as Gertrude said, it's sort of like that there's this all-knowingness about it. So
Anna Banana has said, I totally agree with you, Gerald. We have a tendency to associate the veil with higher vibrational energy, when in reality it allows all vibrational energy to pass through. Absolutely. That's why we protect ourselves. That's why we are discerning about what kind of energy we allow near us. Absolutely.
There is some great chat going on. Holy mackerel.
They are.
I'm glad you're hosting.
In a beautiful way, with this heightened awareness of ascension, it will make on earth as it is in heaven easy to travel around. I think that we are working toward that.
Some of us are, yes.
Some of us are, yes. You are absolutely right. Some of us are.
Some of us are, and
I think there are more of us attracting that energy than there are the I'm going to call it lower vibrational energy.
Sure.
That I think that like attracts like, and the more of us that shine, the harder it is for those low vibrational energies to make headway and harm the way that they have been trying to do.
Yes.
Sherry says, I think in terms of a Star Trek episode where the aliens moved so fast that they didn't appear in the normal world to get help. They had to move Kirk to their dimension of existence. I think that there were some of those scripts were absolutely inspired.
Definitely.
And that is one of them. And that was
Yeah.
one of them. Yes.
Peter J. Watts, a little above that, said, "The beloved dead have a pact with the living." I believe that.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I firmly believe that, because
I do too. And if you hold space for your beloved dead, as we all should, but especially at this time of year, absolutely they have a pact with the living.
mhm,
They are connected to us on a soul level.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was, I remember my high priestess saying to me once, if you've been going through this, there's one of your ancestors who has gone through this. You just have to reach out and connect and listen and be open to the help that
Yes.
they can offer.
Also, to realize that they did whatever they could while they were here. And
Absolutely.
so they can see the bigger picture now and assist you because what they saw and did was a foundation to build for you.
Yes. I like the idea that there's always a connection. Everything is built upon the everything else.
Absolutely. Hi, Julie. Julie says, listening to this interesting topic today, I think we are with other timelines all the time, and the other timelines see us as ghosts. Their realities are as real as ours. Peter experienced this. I think that can happen. I think sometimes we do jump timelines, and it can be real disorienting.
It can be. It can be. And Peter called it paranormal osmosis.
Yes.
So it's a selectively permeable membrane.
Yes,
Love that.
selective. Absolutely. Let's see. Beyond the veil, the other side needs our wisdom and experience concerning Earth. In other words, boundaries about downloads and times where it happens, etc. So I do know of psychics and mediums that had to set boundaries with their guides. For instance, about you are not allowed to interfere with me driving.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
So yes, I think that boundaries are important, and because they're not dealing with something that could be life-threatening.
And they just don't understand.
No, they don't.
They may not understand. Yeah.
When celebrating those who pass, bring in earthly celebration. Yes. Eat what they enjoyed and play the music they loved and all of that kind of thing. I think that's an excellent way to connect with our ancestors. Beth says she connects with great-great-great-grandmother recently, and it was profound, and she wants to continue. I have a great-grandmother. Well, I have more than one great-grandmother, but I have a great-grandmother I have a very strong connection with.
Day of Atonement was yesterday.
Was it?
Thank you, Silver.
Asking for forgiveness from past family members. And see, I don't keep up with things like that, so I had no idea. I do know that Dia de los Muertos is November the 1st because my partner is Mexican, so and he does not. He doesn't observe it, but
you have awareness of it. Yeah,
I have awareness of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think many cultures have that celebration, and they celebrate it in different ways. They celebrate with intention. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh, Yom Kippur. Okay. Yom Kippur.
Ginger Faye is here.
Hi, Ginger.
Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. Yes, you are absolutely right. And I
Mhm.
vaguely knew that that was happening.
Yeah.
We celebrate Samhain by
By
hosting a
hosting.
ghost feast. Foods of our beloved dead are put on a plate and offered. That's
Mhm.
lovely. And I know
Yes.
that that is a ritual that some who celebrate Samhain do.
And I know people who they're celebrating their ancestors is a significant portion of their practice, and they have ancestor altars, bovadas, different things that are kept and maintained with
Yes.
the intention of having the support. It's really really beautiful,
I
really
have an
beautiful.
ancestor altar that you wouldn't know that that's what it was. If you walked in
Hmm.
my home and you saw it, you wouldn't realize that that's what it is. But and it's out where anybody can see it.
Yeah.
Some people like to keep their ancestor altar more hidden or private.
Yeah, I mean, and cool. All you're the only one who needs to know that that's what it is. And
Exactly.
think about it. There are people who have walls of family photos,
And that's
and
absolutely an altar,
and
whether
it's
they know it or
beautiful.
not.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So,
Gertrude says the Chinese have it at the beginning of April called Qingming. They go to the cemetery, clean up the gravesite, bring some food for the dead, and
mhm.
celebrate Old Souls Day.
I
Being
love that.
Catholic, she was
Hmm.
she was actually a nun
Yes,
at one time. So, um,
yes. Wow, I love that.
so we have, and here's the thing too. We all have. It doesn't matter what culture we are, what culture, what religion. We all feel that connection to our
Hmm.
beloved dead,
Hmm.
to those who have passed, and feel
Yes.
that they're with us, that they help
Yeah.
guide us. Uh,
Yeah.
um,
It's very much a part of cultures to celebrate
yes.
those who have gone before. And to be honest with you, I believe that is honoring and remembering is part of it's part of the grieving process. So, hello. So I think that and that's an oftentimes an important part of the grieving process.
And
So,
there are um, the cultural rituals, along with the family traditions and all of everything we do
mhm,
for closure and for remembrance around losing our loved ones, that's all for us. That's not
yes.
really for them because they
Mhm,
are beyond needing that. What
mhm,
what we do for those things, for those rituals and ceremonies and all of the remembrances that we do, those are for us to help us heal.
mhm.
The, the sooner we heal, the sooner we can begin to actually have a conversation with those who have passed.
Yes. Yes. And I remember one of the things my high priestess said that has always stuck with me is that our ancestors, the only thing that they want is to be remembered. And there's so many different rituals. Is it called a bloat? But you have a full chalice of a beverage, and then people say names of their ancestors and then take a drink. And I remember that. It's like, okay, this is true. It's grieving in a less sorrowful way, I think. By honoring the dead, you keep them alive in an important way.
Yes.
Yes.
Science backs the connection up. The intergenerational epigenetics is an exciting time right now. So
Wow.
apparently I can say epigenetics, but not exciting.
And kudos to you for not apologizing for that.
I didn't, not at
Boom.
all. Mm.
Yeah. Well,
And
and
this is
isn't that
another thing I wanted to acknowledge today. Today I'm wearing the morning colors of the West, which is black, and and I'm using the morning colors of the East, which is white. So
okay?
every culture has their what they see as a respectful way to honor the dead,
Mm-hmm.
and color has something to do with that. Demeanor has something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Some cultures weep and wail and gnash their teeth. Some
Yeah.
cultures have a celebration.
Yes. Yes.
So, and none of it is wrong and none of it is right. All of it goes toward healing and
Yes.
acknowledging the love we had for those who passed.
Yes. Well said. Well said. And
Thank you.
I think it's interesting. Science is catching up to that. I find it very interesting. Some of the things that spiritualist or scientific writers, sci-fi, think
Yes.
about it. How many things that were written about now actually exist? Hi, Turtle Dove.
Um,
The communicator on Star
exactly.
Trek. It's a cell phone. Hello, people. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah,
Pamela, hi, Pamela. Pamela says, I think a huge part of our ancestor connection has been left behind by Europeans, Americans. Absolutely. It's been sanitized and we're expected to mourn for 3 days and then go back to work. It's there have been those rituals are important for
yes,
healing. So if we
yes.
don't ever heal, we can't continue the connection.
And we're making it harder for ourselves than it needs to be because that's something that I do. I make it hard for myself all of the time. I make it harder than it needs to be.
Oh,
So
Pamela says she's just beginning to reconnect with
beautiful.
what was left behind.
Hmm.
Um, yes,
Norse
that's what you were
bloat
just.
ceremony. Yeah, yeah, that's
I wasn't
exact.
going to try it. I was going to let you.
Yeah, I'm probably butchering it, but I mean, and something, and that's something that I have been blessed with. I've been able to attend different seances or misas, and depending upon the type, it starts with honoring the ancestors, and
Yes.
the ancestors are woven in such a way. It's so strong,
Yes.
so strong. So
So I was just highlighting that Peter said that Americans, especially, don't have a good relationship with death, and that Beth had said death rituals are important for the living left behind and the dead who have crossed over. They're
yes.
important for the dead who have crossed over in that we remember them.
Yes. And sooner or later, I'm going to have another laugh and learn about death rituals because when you and Richie Longman Tarot were talking, you talked about death and the rituals around that. And I
Yes.
have a couple of people who are interested in that because I, there's a beauty and an awareness of how other people celebrate, and I'm using that word specifically, death as a transition and what happens. So,
Absolutely. And I know, and I related it that day that when my dad passed away, my family, we buried him.
hmm
We buried his cremated remains, and
hmm
it was like filling a hole in my heart. So
hmm
everything you do as part of the ritual to celebrate a person's life is a little bit of healing to heal that hole in your heart.
I think so.
Because
I
when
think
they
so.
leave a space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we hold space, because
Yes.
we don't know what to do with that empty place. Ginger Faye
Mm-hmm.
says another lost art is the ancestors passing along their life stories. Yes,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
this also keeps their memories alive.
Yeah.
We don't have an oral tradition anymore.
No.
And that's why I thought when Allie did her series about um, resilience in the time of fascism and plague, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really dramatic title, but it was us leaving our own oral tradition. I think at
Yes.
some point that is going to be important for us to look back at and say, look at how far we've come since then. Look at what we
Yes.
learned
Mm-hmm.
since then. I think that
Yeah.
and I believe that what we're doing now with all of our YouTube channels is we're making a new oral tradition.
I think that's a good way to look at it. I agree. And um, Natalie shared something that is
Let me
very
find
important. Natalie, I'm holding space for you. It's right under Ginger's.
them.
And I'm still trying to heal from my ex-husband's murder 8 years later this month. I'm sorry.
It's that's an amazingly difficult
Yes.
space to hold.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I mean, how do you hold? How do you heal from that? There's no guidebook.
There
All
is
you
no
can
guidebook, but I think, Natalie, thank you for sharing that with
yeah.
us, because I think you sharing that with us has given us all an opportunity to make available energy if it's around for you, then you want it. So yeah, that's powerful.
Um,
Mm,
Beth says that was one of the main fears when COVID hit the Native Americans so badly that language and stories were lost with the elders. I hope that steps were taken, and I know that the different tribes do. There's a generational respect within the Native American community that isn't had by most other Americans, and so
hmm
I'm hopeful that measures were taken to preserve as much as they could.
yeah,
I have seen some on YouTube of some of the elders putting the stories on
yeah.
camera so that they don't get lost, and I hope that that was continued and expanded.
That reminds me, I think, gosh, many years ago, I did an oral history of my parents, and all of the kids and the grandkids had an opportunity to ask questions, and we videoed it. At that point, it was videotape.
Right, right.
Um, and my sister had it put into onto a DVD, and I think I might want to actually give that a watch because there were some
Um,
great stories.
I think
I
that
also wrote
that's
this movie down.
I'm going to um, I have access to the to the chat, so I'll mark it and watch it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
called Departures.
Hmm.
Matriarchal societies were connected. Patriarchal invaders eliminated our connections. In Christian world, invading men equated males to God, and women became
Hmm.
equated to earth. Um,
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, they
Wow. This
have
is such
been.
a, a good chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Something that Richie asked me, and it got me thinking, is he said, "Well, what color is the veil?" What color is the
Interesting.
veil? Yeah, that's what, yeah. I mean, and it's and I don't know. And then he also asked, the follow-up to that is, what is the veil made of? What is the veil made up of?
Well, you would see through it because a veil is,
Hmm.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
My first thought when you asked what color is it is I saw kind of an amber color
Okay.
and
I see that.
or sepia, that kind of off-white sort of color,
Hmm.
a nostalgic kind of a color.
Sure.
And
And yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say what it's made of. When I think of the veil, I think of something sheer like lace, maybe not tatted, but woven loosely.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think of it as a, I don't necessarily think of a color per se. I think of, it's an energetic shield. It's energy, that it changes as I get close to it.
Right.
So it shifts.
Yes.
And oh, and Beth said, Aspasia Rising, the color of mist.
Yes.
And yeah, I love that. And then Julie, that's
The color
good.
of goosebumps.
Hmm. I think that's interesting.
So, um, Wampanoag, Wampanoag, okay, tribe in Massachusetts teaches the language and indigenous kids in Mashpee often brought fancy dancing, drumming, and singing. It's incorporated into public school curriculum. I wish it was incorporated into public school curriculum everywhere in the United States because that's our indigenous peoples.
Hmm.
They should be celebrated
Yes.
and not stepped on. So,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I I research a lot of music and a lot of indigenous music to different
Hmm.
countries and cultures and things. There are some very good indigenous creators out there who are preserving their history on in the cloud, on
That's great.
in such a way that we will be able to remember
That's
if
powerful.
all of them are lost.
Yeah. So, and for now, we see through. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's so much, so many things that relate to that dementia.
Yes,
There's the loss of that, and it's like, the
there
loss of the
is.
family history.
Why didn't we
So.
discuss, or in my case, my mom was 41 years old when she passed. So
Hmm.
she didn't tell me. There was so much she didn't tell me
Yeah.
that so yeah, we need to I know oral tradition is oral because it's passed down.
Yes.
But I think that finding a way to make a record of it
Hmm.
is important for us in this time.
Yes.
Okay. And Running said, "For now we see through the glass darkly." I'm surprised how often this Bible verse is apt through the glass darkly.
Hmm. Anna is leaving. Bye, Anna.
Oh, bye, Anna.
Yeah, transparent with that color, dark energy. Could be. Could be. I'm open to it.
I
So.
am going to see. After my mom passed away, this is Pamela. I think of so many questions I never asked. I never even had a chance to, I was 22 years old and thought I knew everything, but knew nothing.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think
Yeah.
to ask questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there are those times, I'm still thinking about Natalie and holding space and, the trauma of something being ripped away from us so unexpectedly. It's terrible.
I experienced the veil in experience. I wonder if how we experience veil according to our energy gifts, if my
Mm-hmm.
gifts are seen then visually, what veil looks like is important to me.
Yeah. If
I think
she
that also as
experiences
our
it,
gifts
yeah,
change, the veil changes.
I would agree
Or
with you.
it doesn't change, but our perception of the veil changes.
Yes. Yeah. Very well said. Very well said. So, but hi, Kiba.
Gerald, are
Yeah. And
you
then
there?
there's,
Are you cutting out or am I?
I think you are cutting out, but are you there now? Am I here? Can you hear me? Welcome to technical
Is that
issues.
me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Please note the veil is weird right now, so we're all experiencing that. Oh, okay. So this is good, yes. Yeah, and the idea of changing stories, um, and also changing the understanding of those stories. I think it's interesting. And my mom, we had Sherry H. Voices from the Swamp said, we have my mom set up in an altar of her ashes and pictures. She sits in the living room where she still reigns as queen of our family. There you go. And um, Andrea said, Christians view through heaven hell experience, Buddhist different view. Yes, yeah, it's a channel takeover, people, and I don't have my little tag, so there you go, channel takeover. So you've been involuntarily embiggened, Gerald. It's like boom, and I do think it's one of those things. While, this time of the year, I do think about the people in my family who have passed away.
That apparently we're both having, or I'm definitely having, some trouble connecting with my
I
connection.
hear you
Gerald, are
now.
you
Can you
there?
hear me? I am here.
That was interesting.
Yes. Yes. Tangi said, or Andrea said, yes, how I experience the void is very different today. So, um,
We are experiencing technical difficulty. Please bear with us.
it's all good. Um, so I'm still moving. I can see in my version. Natalie can hear and see us both, but now you have frozen, Deb. Gerald, you need your multicolor screens to say, please stand by. Please welcome. Welcome to TarotStache's takeover of Purple Elephant. Everybody who is watching, please use this time to like and subscribe to Purple Elephant Deb H. Thank you. And please enjoy leaving nice little comments. You all are great. This chat is really brilliant. So Deb is pixelated and frozen. Deb is actually trying to walk through the veil, is that she's trying to get to the other side. I could see it as pixelated, the veil. Something that I wrote down that I was thinking about, I have been this last year doing some exploration in Zen Buddhism. And there was this idea of death that You experience you experience 3 deaths, and I know 2 of them is hi Manasa Wellness is work lurking, back to work. But the idea is that we experience 3 deaths. One is your actual death, and then one of them is the last one is that it's the death of the last person who repeats your name. So I think it's your physical death, and then your death as people are reciting your name, and then the death of the last person who recited your name. So, but ego death, yes. She must be able to do something because she's popping up some. It's like she's, pay no attention to that woman behind the curtain from The Wizard of Oz. Yes, Ben, I've seen The Wizard of Oz. So, Tara Reina, hello. The spirit world plays out in the 3D for me. Like when I'm in my garden, they overlap. Oh, very nice. I have a theory about internet wonkiness. As energy increases, screens freeze. Tangi is going back to lurker mode. So, yeah. So, what other thoughts do you have about the veil? I'm curious about that because I can see your chat on my phone. So I'm curious about what other thoughts you have about the veil. I'm going to take a sip. I'm now picturing the veil as just that progress indicator going in a circle. Well, isn't that what happens when you're downloading information and you're upgrading things? So, yeah. Energy increases, screens freeze. Yep, it's very true. Thank you, Maura. It has been a lot of fun. Yeah, Duncan was thinking the same, Andrea. Oop, I've embiggened. And the little practice group I am part of is freezing more often. Yeah, and I certainly would understand that. Running away from home said it's thickly thin, if that makes sense. Is it? I can see that in the way I would describe it is it's physically very thin but energetically thick. So, Ginger Faye said sometimes I feel like the veil as a cloaking device. Yes. Anybody else been able to make themselves disappear from people's eyes, hidden in a veil? So there are particles. Yep. Yes, I have been biggened. So I wonder, how are all of you going to be working with the thinning veil? And as Deb said a lot of time, she believes the veil is getting thinner. What I have noticed is the veil energetically feels to be getting, because I would start feeling the veil getting thinner beginning of October, and now I start to feel it getting thinner beginning of September. So, running away from home, become an old woman, you become invisible. Yeah, that's not good. Viscose is a good word. Energetically viscose. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, it is thinner. And Beth said, I think I will try that ancestor meditation again to reconnect with my great, 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 great grandmother. So it is a blessing in many ways, but it's also a missed opportunity for those of us who can learn from. So I wonder if, okay, so Deb, if you can see this, try placing selenite or shungite or mica or all in front of your screen. Terrorena said, yes, the ancestors are much around. Yeah. And I also notice it on the other direction, in the other direction where I think I experienced the veil being thin at Beltane earlier. And it's crazy. So, hi, Viviani. Pamela Batchelor said, I'm thinking about Joseph Campbell regarding going to Japan for the first time. He was struck by meeting people who were never taught that heaven is some other place. Oh, that's interesting. Andrea said, keep your vibration high. What you see, do, eat, watch, choose higher vibration choices. Yes, I agree with that, because what we focus our attention on is what we attract. There's some scientific term for that, I am absolutely sure of. So, but, so this is all very good. I'm going to do something very quickly to see if perhaps I have, okay, nope, I don't have it. She's probably going crazy. So, poor woman. So, we're part of the Eden. Eden is within. Yep. I'm wondering about this veil. And Pamela said, I'm wondering about this veil. Isn't everything right here around us right now? That is a belief that many people share with you. However, can we see that? Can we see what is around us? And the veil is what makes us miss it. And running away from home, thank you. I do miss Deb, and there she is.
I had to go all the way out, shut down my computer, and come back.
So, and running away from home had the best line. I love you, Gerald, but I miss Deb.
Aw, thank you, Brandon.
Yes.
So I am occasionally have internet connectivity problems.
No, really? Oh, here, let me get my tiny hands out. Really? I did not know that.
Yes, really.
That's hilarious.
Thank you, Ginger Faye.
Yeah. All right. Bye, Beth. Beth is heading out.
Bye, Beth.
So, very interesting and thought-provoking. Yes, I think we all love Deb.
Aw.
So,
thank you.
Yeah. And I was giving Deb a compliment earlier before we went live. Look at her. She's like, what are you I gave her a compliment because I was talking to her about the back and forth, hashtag back and forth with Jamie and Gerald. Peter J. Watts is going out to get gardens ready for the winter. Bye. And I hope the chicken coop is all done. But I was talking to Deb about the possibility of joining us sometime in the future and asking Jamie and me questions. And you're like, I don't know any questions. And it's because you listen very well and then you ask thought-provoking questions. You are a really good listener and you ask great questions to understand. So
I do. I'm interested in having conversations and discussions. I'm not interested in debate.
Correct. That's one of the things that I appreciate about you is because throughout the conversation, we find out how we are similar instead of how we are different.
Exactly.
And that's because important to me.
We're all the same inside. We have different packagings, but we have the same heart center. for the most part. There are beings, entities, people who do not have a genuine heart center. And
I was like it. Did you see that? Maybe it was like 4 or 5 years ago. There was this really large X-ray machine, and they had people going into it, and sometimes they would hug, sometimes they would kiss, and they would do things, and all you could see was the X-ray. So you'd see the skeleton, and then people would come out, and what the outward appearance was. It's very interesting. So
and
it
you
was
don't. There was a time when I worked in retail, and I would always help the customers who were different in some way. So maybe they were transitioning, or maybe they were flamboyant, or whatever. So I would I would assist whoever was different or differently abled or whatever.
Yeah.
Because people are people. I don't have a filter as to, except that I don't like, I don't like nastiness. I don't like meanness.
Yeah.
I don't like any of that. And so I may help you and be polite to you if you're that kind of a person, but I'm not going to go out of my way. So everyone else is my tribe. So
yeah. I'm more about don't be a jerk. Don't be a
yes.
Excuse me.
There's no reason for that.
I mean, you may think that there is a reason for it, but and Sherry H put it up. They said Free Speech TV did that. This series of ads were called "Love Has No Labels." Yep.
That, yes. Oh, Viviani's here too. I didn't even see her.
Yeah.
See, when I left, I guess people came in.
Yeah, running away from home said people need love the most when they act the worst. I try to remember that. I try
That's
to
true.
too.
That's true. It's hard sometimes to distinguish between having a bad day and being that way.
Yes.
So I think that, yes, there is a certain amount of discernment that goes along with that.
Yeah.
Conversation allows for growth and change. I need allowance for that. Good grief, if I didn't get opportunity for growth and revamping. Yikes. So we all need that. We all need to be encouraged to grow.
Yeah. And sometimes that because growth means that we may be different than those around us. And that's not comfortable for many of us. I don't want to be different. I want to fit in. So,
see, and I think that individuality is what makes us stronger.
When it is celebrated, yes.
When it's
in an environment where that's acceptable.
Yes.
So
there are times when conformity is necessary, but in our everyday life, it should be acceptable to be ourselves and to allow other people to be themselves.
Yes.
I don't need to tell you that you should wear that blue shirt every Thursday from now on.
I mean, you can. I'm not going to do it, but good luck trying.
But that level of control is just not necessary for anybody.
Yeah. So
growth can be painful. It's, how you get sore when you're doing a new exercise or you've done something good for your body that your body is sort of rejecting right now. It's that kind of pain. You can tell the difference between having pain that's for growth and pain that's of a negative nature.
Yes.
And I think that that is true, that if we don't fear the pain and know that it's worth it, that what we get on the other side is worth it.
Yes.
I think that applies to the veil too. That we have some people are afraid of the veil.
Of course, because it's unknown. We don't know what it is. It's scary, and what we don't know can be challenging. So,
bye, Ginger.
Bye, Ginger.
Oh, running away said like labor pains. Yes.
Yeah.
Running says, okay. Afraid of the veil. We can transmute it to be a blessing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything to fear with the veil. I think it can be frightening because it's an unknown, like Gerald just said.
Yeah.
It's an unknown commodity. But you can make it, you can ask for it to be known to you to the extent that you can accept it.
Yeah. And I think there's running away from home said, I'm afraid of what I'll learn. I understand what you're saying. I acknowledge that, and they'll wait. They'll be patient. You'll have the opportunity. And the fact that you're still here and having a conversation about the veil, would you have done that 2 years ago? Or would you have just moved on? Something to think about. So.
Yes. The veil is always there. Always.
Yep.
Whether we're aware of it or not. It's always
there. And running away from home said no, they would not have been here 2 years ago. So no, everybody does, tower moments happen, but sometimes we don't need that tower moment. We don't need that completely upsetting. Running said, I didn't find you all until I was ready. Good. And I'm glad you're ready and sticking with it. But sometimes it's that 7 of Pentacles moments when we need to wait for something to come to fruition. So it's okay.
And when we're ready, then we can come to it with a more open mind.
Yeah.
With a more accepting nature. And our attitudes change.
Yes.
So when I was a young person and I lost my mother, I had this totally different concept of death and the veil and what's on the other side. When I lost my dad 6 years ago, my view had completely changed. It didn't hurt any less.
Correct.
But my understanding was completely different. And my acceptance was completely different. So did I mourn? Yes. Did it hurt just as bad? Yes.
Yep.
But I wasn't paralyzed with grief the way I was when I was a 22-year-old.
Oh, of course not. Yeah. Gosh, this has been really fascinating. Thank you for inviting me on and having this conversation.
Well, I appreciate you coming. I really do, because not necessarily that it's a hard subject to talk about, but it's a hard subject to talk about.
Yeah. So, and that is something, I mean, it was an inspired idea. So thank you.
how I interact with the world around me and learning that you're enough. You are absolutely enough. You absolutely have value.
Mm-hmm.
And it is frightening.
It is.
That is a frightening concept.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you come from a place of being told that you're worthless, that you're not any
So
good.
horrible. Yeah.
So when you come from that place, which is a place that I have been at one time,
Mm-hmm.
then it is absolutely terrifying to think that I can step out and be somebody important. I can be important to
Yes.
me. I can be important to family members.
Mm-hmm.
All of that is something that's, and maybe there'll be a topic like that later on in a new show to
I
deal with
think,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So,
Gosh.
but yes, it can absolutely be frightening
Mm-hmm.
to think
Yep.
about having to do something that's so bold as to say,
Exactly.
I'm worth something.
Yep.
And I have value. And I also think that pertains to the veil, because our spirit team, each one of us has a spirit team. We all have our beloved dead, our ancestors, our spirit guides, our angels, our deities,
Mm-hmm.
everyone who is important to us and who has interest in us on the other side of the veil is there being our cheerleader.
Yes.
And supporting us and trying to keep those low vibrational kind of negative entities away from us.
Yeah. But we have to be willing to see it and hear it and accept it for truth.
Yes.
And that takes work. And that's the idea of dealing with change. If you want to change something, it's difficult because it's the adjustment, it's the transition from the old way to the new way, and that can be very, very scary.
Yes, it can. And
So
but we in this community, and that's part of the reason that we're all needed. All of our voices are needed because we are able to, each one of us can reach someone different and let
yes.
them know they have
Mm-hmm.
value and pull them into the light.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Just by shining our own light.
You got it.
So,
You got it. Boom.
let's see. Life is painful. Missing the chance to love is more painful once we have moved on the other side of the veil. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Regret is painful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
do what we need to do now. You are loved and supported from beyond the veil and on this side of the veil.
Mm-hmm.
Each of us is loved and supported. So
You got it. You got it. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you were able to catch this live too. Everybody, thanks for watching. It's
thank
been
you so
wonderful.
much.
It's been great.
So we want to have you, or at least I do want you to remember that you are loved by us
Mm-hmm.
and you're always welcome. And until next time, beautiful beings.
Bye.